All right, let's dive right in. Today we're tackling one of the biggest topics in AI right now, the showdown between RAG and its, well, smarter, upgraded cousin, CAG. If you're working with large language models, you absolutely need to know the difference. So let's get into it.
You know, when you first hear it, it totally sounds like that, right? But no, these aren't rival gangs from some data science movie. They're actually two incredibly smart ways to fix one of AI's biggest and, frankly, most embarrassing problems.
And what is that problem? It's hallucination. I'm sure you've seen this before. It's when an AI just confidently makes up facts, figures, or entire events out of thin air. So both RAG and CAG were created to stop this, to ground the AI in reality and force it to base its answers on actual data, not just whatever it feels like saying.
So first up, let's talk about the original attempt to solve this, RAG. You can think of it as the foundational approach, the first big step toward making AI way more reliable and fact-based.
So RAG stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation. And honestly, the whole process is right there in the name. Before the AI even tries to write an answer, it's forced to go retrieve relevant info from a knowledge base you trust. It's basically like telling your AI, hey, before you open your mouth, go check your sources.
The process itself is pretty straightforward. When the AI gets a question, it first does a search through a specific set of documents. This could be your company's PDFs, internal websites, or databases. Then, it pulls out the most relevant little pieces of text, and only then does it actually generate an answer, using just that information it found.
This brings us to what I think is the perfect analogy. It's like an open book exam. RAG gives the AI access to your book, your knowledge base, and it makes it look up the answers. This is huge, because it keeps the AI from just making stuff up, since it doesn't have to rely purely on memory. It's a really simple but powerful idea.
But here's the plot twist. RAG has a really critical weakness. Since it's just grabbing chunks of text, its performance is totally dependent on how good your documents are. So if your docs are messy or out of date, guess what? You get a messy, out-of-date answer. It also tends to miss the bigger picture because it can't really reason across different sources. And that is exactly why we needed the next evolution, CAG. It was designed from the ground up to get around RAG's limitations. This is the smarter, more capable cousin we were talking about.
CAG stands for Contextual Augmented Generation, and I want you to focus on that key word, contextual. Instead of just grabbing chunks of text that seem related, CAG tries to understand the entire situation. It pulls information from a bunch of different sources and, this is the most important part, it reasons across all of them to put together a really cohesive, intelligent answer.
I love this way of putting it. If RAG is like a student quickly flipping through one textbook for an answer, CAG is the student who drank a strong coffee, read the entire library, and now actually understands the subject on a deep level. It's a major level up.
Okay, so we've met the contenders. Now it's time for the main event. Let's do a direct side-by-side showdown to really see what the practical differences are and where each one shines.
This example just makes the difference so clear. If you ask a RAG system about a customer's pricing plan, it'll probably just find a document with the word pricing and give you a generic summary. But ask a CAG system that same question, and it does something way smarter. It actually analyzes that specific customer's data, their behavior, and your company's pricing rules to give you a personalized strategic recommendation. See the difference? It's information versus actual insight.
And the crucial difference is laid out perfectly right here. RAG's process is a simple two-step. It retrieves, and then it generates. But look at CAG. It adds two critical steps right in the middle, interpret and reason. So while RAG is great at finding relevant passages, CAG operates on a much deeper level. It synthesizes the meaning from across all those passages, and that's why RAG is good for simple Q&A, but for complex decisions and scenarios, you really need CAG.
So let's talk about where they shine in the real world. RAG is perfect for things like FAQ bots, looking up a specific company policy, or, answering a direct question about one document. But CAG is built for the tough stuff, things like personalized recommendations, making complex workflow decisions, and especially for agentic systems that have to reason across tons of documents and data sources to actually take action.
So after all that, if you're going to remember just one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. It all boils down to a really simple but profound difference between these two technologies.
That's it. It's that simple. A RAG is a master at finding the right piece of information.
CAG is a master at understanding what all those pieces of information actually mean when you put them all together. One gives you data, the other gives you intelligence.
You know, this evolution from just finding to understanding is really what's driving the next huge wave of enterprise AI. So if you're curious to see how these advanced systems are actually being put to work in the real world, well, we break down complex tech like this all the time. For more, make sure to follow Keep Calm and Oracle on LinkedIn for more amazing videos. Thanks for watching.